Hello, good people. Welcome to our show. Hello, bad people. Welcome. Today we are going to discuss more about email marketing because today it's really tough to get great results. Competition is huge, and we have new things that can help you grow fast. It's AI. It's tough to ignore this technology. And today we are going to discuss how you can get real sales and results with Alex Sharkis. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me.
A big pleasure. Want to learn more about that. Before the podcast, we chatted a little bit about our new project, SM Chat. So I'm looking for ways how I can get results for that. So basically, we created our solution. It's like AI chat that can speak with customers. And today, I'm interested how to get results for this project, and my audience can learn about that as well because email marketing is huge and it's a great channel in the right hands. Alex, before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background, and anything that can help our listeners to learn more about you.
Yeah, so I've been doing go-to-market for 20 years for startups, almost exclusively. Always early stage. It's a tough time when you're trying to figure out, who your customer is, what your value prop is, what product market fit looks like. For the last 5 or 6 years, I've been advising a bunch of startups on go-to-market, and I realized they all had the same issue around writing good emails, getting emails answered, and I mean, we did this. I did this for my own startup as a founder in the 20 teens, and it was a lot easier back then. And today it's just gotten really hard. And I think there's a lot of, good and bad information out there. It's every day on LinkedIn, I read another post about how Claude Code will solve all your email problems. And I'm not sure if I believe them. So,
Mhm.
so that's my background. I've, still work with some founders on a one-on-one basis, but most of my time spent building Skip, which is the email company you talked about.
Nice, nice. Okay, Alex, I know a bunch of great solutions that we have today, like Lemlist, like Smartly, many websites, Clay. So can you tell how your product, Skype AI or Skip AI,
Yeah, either one.
is better, yeah, than all existing?
Yeah, I mean so we use Lemlist. We used to use Lemlist. I think it's a good solution. I think that you have very different. There are basically three categories of solution. So what you didn't mention is all the AI SDRs out there, the 11x's and artisans of the world, right? Those guys, they're like an old school agency where you throw everything over the fence, tell them to go find customers, and then sit back and wait for the meetings to come in. And in my experience, that's never worked. And a lot of people we talked to when we were starting Skip had tried it and immediately failed. Within a month or two, we're like, "This is terrible. It's tarnishing our reputation. Nobody's using it." The second kind of category of stuff is what you talked about. Is the Lemlist, is the Smart Lead, Smart Reach, Outreach. Like there's a bunch, and the thing with them is that they're complicated. Like you're not as a salesperson going to duck in for 5 minutes and get anything done. It takes time to set it up. They're all templated, so there's deliverability challenges and other things now that AI is on the scene. They've all kind of like, taped AI onto their products in a way that sometimes is interesting and sometimes isn't. But it isn't AI native, and so the reason why that matters to users is they're harder to use than they could be. They're not as effective as they could be because AI is sort of this like band-aid that got pasted on the top versus like core to how the product works. Um, the third category is what I mentioned in the intro around like rolling your own. So whether you're rolling your own, like truly, opening Claude Code and starting from scratch, or whether you're using a tool like Unify or some other really complicated system, again, like you're either spending several days to both building and maintaining that, or you're paying somebody 120 grand a year to build and maintain it for you, right? Neither of those are options for the people that we target, which is the sort of 5 to 20 person sales team, where you don't want to blow another FTE headcount on somebody to just maintain your email system. And so I mean, there are a lot we haven't really talked about what people use Skip for, but what we found is that there's this real need for people to have a solution that is AI native, that gets the job done, gets it done quickly. You can duck in as a salesperson and run a campaign in 5 or 10 minutes. You don't need to dedicate half a day to setting up a campaign. You don't need a person to run it. But at the same time, is super easy to use, is super powerful, and isn't going to burn through your whole market, right? So I think one of the things that we've been surprised by is that people use Skip to email their own customers, right? Like they trust RAI to email people that they already do business with. And I mean, none of the solutions you mentioned would I trust to email my existing customers because they're going to mess it up. So,
yeah, I rely on AI a lot. Usually, check out, analyze what kind of generation I get. But yeah, I rely a lot because AI can save a lot of time. Alex, like a few months ago, I got 4 emails from Neil Patel. Basically, I don't think that Neil Patel wrote these emails, but Neil Patel Digital, so I mean just emails. And on these emails, they suggested good speakers who can speak on this podcast. By the way, I think all these emails, I don't think these emails were like cold emails, and that was not written by human. I think I can call it like AI personalization. So I got 4 emails that personalized by my name, and in all these emails I got one point. They listen to my podcast. They like some special episodes. I think it's nonsense. I don't think I can listen to my podcast. But honestly, I don't care about that. I don't care. Okay, if people can bring value to this podcast, why not? Of course, I'm ready to accept them because it can bring value to me, to my audience. But what I've done, I've learned from the emails and decided to do something similar. So basically, for one trading project, we personalized 10,000 emails by using Claude API and send them. We got not bad traffic. I can't call it's bad traffic. It's real good traffic, but traffic bounce fast. I try to research what's going on because I don't care about this traffic if it doesn't bring sales. So basically,
there's no points for traffic that bounces. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, and I think what's interesting is that, I mean, it's always hard to diagnose a campaign without all the data, but I think that it shows a few of the things that are going on right now in the world of email marketing and emails and sales. First, it's obviously a lot. You sent 10,000 emails with Claude Code, right? It didn't take you long to personalize it. Like the podcast emails, right? They were, it looked like somebody did some research. To me, I think what's the core of it is, are you reaching the right people and are they interested in what you're selling? And so, and if you are, it matters less how good the message is, right? I mean, if it's really terrible or if it, if it ends up in spam, it doesn't do you any good. But you need a decent message and you need to really crystallize what you're saying. But at the same time, if you have something that people are interested in or the people you're reaching out to are interested in, it'll work. And I think the balance that people are dealing with right now, which is something that we're addressing on our platform for people, is how do you find that intent? How do you find the person that's likely to consider using a new tool? I click on a bunch of stuff, right? Not because I'm in, email, but because it's like, oh, that's interesting. And then I click away because it's like, oh, it's not as interesting as I thought it was going to be, right? Or, oh, I should really get that other contract out or that, that Stripe payment link out. I should stop wasting my time on clicking on random email. So, you need to find the person that has the pain, that is in the moment where they're considering it. I think the sort of 3 to 5 second, like you said, bounces, now they know about you, right? They saw your email, right? They're aware that your product exists. When they do later come around to thinking about, oh, maybe I should do this, right? You run more. I mean, I don't know if the tools you were using lets you do that, but like Skip will let you really easily add those people that open and click to a new campaign so you can re-engage them in 2 or 3 months. Maybe now is a better time. I think what the core of what comes down to is like the podcast story resonates because it didn't matter how personal or impersonal it was. Like, you want guests on your podcast. If somebody pitches you a guest that you think would be good for your podcast, you're going to say yes because it's interesting, right? Whereas when somebody's selling you SaaS software in reverse, when you're reaching out and selling SaaS software, like, I don't need SaaS software. I need guests for my podcast. I don't need more SaaS. And so I got enough, right? I'm already spending thousands on SaaS software. So I don't need more. So that's, I think, the balance, right? Is like, you have a receptive audience on the one hand, you have a less than receptive audience on the other hand. And I think that the goal is to find the receptive audience for the SaaS, right? The new hire, the person hiring for a role that indicates they have this problem, the post on LinkedIn, that, whatever that is. You don't need to say, hey, I saw you posted on LinkedIn that you wish you had a better chatbot. Maybe that would help. Maybe it wouldn't, right? But if you reach out to the person that posted on LinkedIn, they need a better chatbot, you're probably going to get a click and a response even.
Yeah, nice. Okay, Alex, let's go to the foundation. How to find these right people. For example, I showed me my SaaS product. It's like AI chat bot that can speak 95 languages, can reply in 2 seconds at any request, can learn about business like in 2 minutes. Just put your domain. It looks the same like your tool can do. So Skip can analyze by domain all this data and can write all these messages. But how to find this right audience? I mean, like, okay, for example, it's a new product. I don't know what kind of target audience can be. So suggest how to find the right people.
Yeah, well, I think so I think email is actually a great way to start out because you can test different audiences and you can go to say, people that are, I mean, the languages thing is interesting to me. Like, have you tried different countries? Like, if you go around the world and say, let's try France, let's try Germany, let's try Spain, like are different countries under or overserved? That might be an interesting approach. Because I think a lot of the Silicon Valley companies just focus on the U.S. for better or for worse. And if you're bootstrapping, or just trying to get a foothold, right, you can try different markets, different companies. But to me, a great way to test it is to use a tool like Skip or build your own email system where you're able to go after specific audiences and say, like, I'm going to reach out to, I don't know, junior, like growth engineers or growth leads, head of growth titles, right? And see, like, do these people care about what I'm doing? A great way to do it also is to ask for feedback because you're early, you just launched the product. You can say, hey, we're considering launching this thing. Would love to get your feedback. You're head of growth at some YC company, right? And so again, we have a client that reaches out to YC companies and they know if they reach out 2 weeks after they get accepted, they won't ever get a response because everybody does, right? If they reach out like right when they get accepted, they get responses. So you have other factors that play into whether those strategies are successful. But I would say, like, come up with a hypothesis, think about where those people live. Maybe it's email, maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's somewhere else, and then go and try and reach those people. And if you get better, I mean, it's usually pretty quick, right? If your open and reply rates are lower than average for your other campaigns, it's probably not a great market. If they're higher, maybe there's some more interest. But I think email is a good way to do it. I think the other one to consider is reaching out through LinkedIn, although you can only do so much outreach through LinkedIn. The last thing I'll say actually is, you have a big network. A lot of people don't know this, but you can download all your LinkedIn contacts from LinkedIn. If you're in Europe, you can actually access them by API. But if you download your contacts from LinkedIn, you can then enrich them with emails and reach out to people right? So you can say, like, look, I'm launching this new thing. These are people right? They're much more likely to respond positively, and see if they, are willing to spend half an hour with you taking a look at it. So those are all, and you do the same thing, right? You wouldn't reach out to everybody. You'd reach out by whatever that theory you have is, like who's likely to be a good customer, who's going to be interesting.
Yeah. You remind me the quote that the era of lazy marketers is dead. So you need to try many solutions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the other thing to mention is that if you're doing this effectively, right, you're gonna a lot of the experiments are gonna fail. So I think that there's this expectation that you put in a lot of the work, especially if you're rolling the tool yourself, right? I mean, I think one of the things about Skip is, like, we have a team that helps people, so you don't have to invest like a month setting everything up, dialing in Lemlist, figuring out how to get Claude to personalize emails the way you want, right? Like, you can use Claude and Skip if you want. Like, there's a lot of different, things that we do that make it easier. But, like, you're not going to be successful for your first campaign. You're probably not going to be successful for your second campaign, right? Your likelihood is improved by working with a company like us, but it takes some learning. Just like, I know you've done a bunch of SEM work, right? Like, your first Google campaign's not going to work. Like, you got to, like, optimize it. You got to go in there and remove the bad keywords. There's so many things that you have to do to make that successful. You can't just think, oh, I'm going to go give Google $1,000 and I'll end up with $5,000 worth of business. Like, it's not a thing. And the same thing's true with email, right? It takes a lot of people are doing it. They're spending a lot of time doing it efficiently and effectively, right? And your first one isn't going to necessarily be at the same bar that the people you read about on LinkedIn are doing, right? It takes a minute to figure it out. So, we'd like to think working with Skip makes you, get there much faster. But But especially if you're kind of trying to, ask your AI chatbot and read LinkedIn posts and, comment on videos and get like cheat sheets sent to you, like it's a long road, right? You'll burn through months of runway before you actually see any success.
Yeah, for me, it's really tough to count how many times I failed.
But that's like, as long as you're learning, right? I mean, I failed a bunch of times, and I burned $6.5 million of investor money, and that company didn't work. And like a lot of it's like, well, what did I learn, right? Like, do I regret that? I mean, I wish it was successful for a lot of reasons, but at the same time, I wouldn't trade the last couple of years where I learned everything for just calling it quits early, returning $1 million to investors and, and moving on with my life. Like, I think that it's all about what you learn from the experience. And so I think if you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and not getting any results from it, like that's not serving anybody. But if you do, I think one of the reasons why we started Skip was I'd advise founders like you to do email outreach, and then it wouldn't work. And they'd come back and they'd be like, Alex, you're a crappy advisor. Like, you told me to do this thing, it totally didn't work. And then I go look at what they did, and it's like, well, you did it wrong. Like, it's, these emails are terrible. You're emailing the wrong people. You're using the wrong tool. I mean, by the way, a lot of people use HubSpot for this. HubSpot is terrible. Like, the emails don't get delivered. Like, you can spend all the time in the world with HubSpot and you'll never get results. If you do, like, my hat's off to you, but the vast majority of people don't. And a lot of people give up on email because they tried HubSpot, it didn't work. But I love HubSpot, but not for sending sales emails. But so my point is, if you keep doing the same thing and it doesn't work, you gotta. I started Skip because my clients would do it, it wouldn't work, they'd blame me, and I was like, well, you did it wrong. And so Skip, like, we do it right. So if it doesn't work after a couple months, 3-4 months is usually how long it takes to figure out, it's fine. Like, stop using Skip, right? Like, if email isn't, I mean, there are a lot of categories where email is not a good channel, but to me, it's like, the thing that sucks is if you spend 3 or 4 months and you're not sure, like, did it work? I don't know. Maybe I did it wrong, right? It's much better to be like, I did it absolutely right. I did all the things right, and it didn't work. Okay, great. We're going to not do email anymore. I mean, this happened to me with Google. Like, that company I mentioned, we hired a team that was, recommended by a CMO who they had taken I don't think that company went public. It definitely was a huge company, but they had done a lot of great stuff for Backcountry, which is a big, obviously big e-commerce company. And they, it was, I thought they were really good, and they ended up doing a terrible job. And we didn't find that out till months later, but like, we spent 30 or 40 grand on email marketing and like got literally no results. I don't even think we got website visitors. If we did, they were like the ones you talked about where they were gone in 3 or 4 seconds. Right. And so we were like, oh, I guess Google doesn't work for this business. And it turns out later, about a year later, I had a new VP of marketing. He went in, he looked at the campaign. He's like, yeah, this is trash. Like, let's do this right. And, and all of a sudden we were getting customers at, a totally affordable fraction of the cost that we were from other channels. It worked great. But, we did it wrong. Right. So anyway, I mean, I think it's important, whatever experiments you do, to learn from them and to make sure you're following like best practices, not the best practices that ChatGPT says you should follow, but the actual best practice that a human expert guides you on, because that way you're going to have much more confidence that you did the experiment, you did it right, it worked or it didn't work, right? And if it worked, don't do something else, double down on it. I mean, anyway, like, the other mistake people make is they have something that works and they're like, oh, but I also want to do SEM. It's like, look, if email worked, like, just do email, like, figure out how to do that, more of that. Don't just like figure out the thing that works and then run off to the next thing.
Okay, Alex, I have the question about standing out from the rest. Basically, I don't remember where I see this data, but everyone can get plus 120 emails a day. It's a lot. So I mean, like,
Right.
I get them every single day on LinkedIn, on email, a lot of spam email that trying to sell me something. Most of them try to sell me something. I usually ignore them. Not usually, always ignore them, because it looks like people don't know my pain points, and I can feel them. I don't need to spend a lot of time just to understand it's spam, just to put in spam box, remove it completely. So Can you tell how to write emails that people can, like, wanna read, or can provoke curiosity, or put them to make action? So any advice about that?
I, yeah, I think there are a lot of ways to screw that up, right? The false personalization, hey, I noticed you went to Stanford, go Cardinal, that kind of nonsense. I think congrats on getting into YC. I mean, some of it like is personal, some of it is just AI trash, and people recognize it for what it is. Like you were saying, like nobody listened to episode 17 of your podcast and like, no human is going to cite like quotes from your podcast back to you in an email. That's obviously AI, right? I mean, it's a tell, which is ironic because 5 years ago, if somebody had written that email, you'd be like, "Oh, this guy's like a stalker. I should respond because he really put in the work." Now it's like, "Oh, this guy's a lazy AI slop user." Like I don't, immediately delete. But to me, the thing is finding people that are in need when they're in need. Like, and I think a lot of people do these 10,000, 100,000 email campaigns because maybe 5 of those people will be in need, right? It's more, I mean, it's spray and pray, but it's really like you're just trying to blanket the whole market so that the 5 people that are in market for what you're selling see your email. And I think it's better there's a balance. You can definitely over research, but I think it's better to come up with some hypotheses about like what are the things that lead to somebody buying my software or making a choice to try my software, taking a meeting with me, and then try and find those people at that time. So, I'll use our client that sells to YC companies. They are a YC company, but they're like, they sell accounting software. They're like, I need to reach people right when they get into YC because before that, they don't have an accounting problem. After that, like they're about to get a $500,000 check from YC. They're about to have to get their stuff in order to go raise a round. A demo day, they've got 3 months. The clock is ticking. Like if I reach them then, they're going to answer my email. They have this need. I know they have the need. If I'm 2 weeks late, they don't have the need anymore. They pick somebody else. They got too many emails. Who knows? And so, so I would think about that. And I think that the underused play. Well, there are 2. One is like website visitors. So we'll email people that visited your website, right? So it's great when you're doing multiple channels, like you're posting on LinkedIn, you're running ads, you're doing SEO, right? Those people come to your website, spend 30 seconds, spend a minute, read a couple articles, check out your pricing page. Like, why wouldn't you send them an email? Like, obviously send them an email, right? So those people are obviously in market. That's a great hack if you're getting traffic to your website. I think the other thing that people don't realize is that you have you have advisors, right? People maybe like you or me who are who are influential in other people, and I'm not going to say I have a lot of time on my hands, but are more open to hearing about new stuff, right? And so we've been very successful reaching out to like fractional CROs to say, hey, we're building this new email service. Can you spend 15 minutes giving me feedback on whether or not it would be useful to your clients, right? And so if you reach out to the CEO or the growth marketer or whatever, they're too busy, they got too many things going, they already have their preferred tool. You reach out to the advisor, the influential person, right? For different businesses, it could be different people. It could be a fractional CFO, could be an accountant, could be a fractional sales advisor. I mean, who knows what that persona is? But I think a lot of people don't realize, like, they just go straight for the customer. And if they go sort of adjacent to the customer, they might have better luck.
Yeah, got it. Alex, can you tell more about testing? Like, in SEO is, yeah, of course we test a lot, but it's not the same like with email marketing, because in SEO testing takes time. Like you can test something and you need to wait at least 3 weeks, even longer.
Right.
But in the email marketing, we can segment the list, test different messages, different angle. Can you tell or advise how to do it right? Like from your experience, how to test things in order to find what actually can work.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a fallacy. So are you right? Some categories like SEO, you do need to wait for time. I think people think that because the emails go out immediately, you don't have to wait, but you still have to wait. Like it still takes time, right? If you're sending a 6 email sequence and you're trying to decide, you started on Monday and you're trying to decide Tuesday morning if it's successful, like you don't have enough data, right? You sent one email to 20 or 50 or 100 people out of thousands potentially, right? Multiple emails to many people. So I think you can quickly establish if it works because you're getting replies, you're getting clicks, perhaps, right? You can see that People are on the site, they're spending time. So, I mean, if it works, you can figure that out really quickly. But I don't think you can write it off for the same 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long the campaign is. It still takes time. I think that the thing that people, the biggest mistake people make in analyzing whether an email campaign is successful is not focusing on the small things. They just zoom out and it's like, oh, it sucked or it didn't suck. Like it worked or it didn't work, right? It's very binary. Like, we got meetings or we got leads or we didn't. And I think that so two areas where this breaks down. One is in the specific places where it worked. If it didn't work or it did work, or if it did work, you probably did everything right. If it didn't work, did you email the wrong people? Were your subject lines not good enough? Was the email not well written? Or, a lot of people will talk too much about their product and not enough about what the customer cares about. Am I not getting the message right in the email? Am I not making a good offer, right? Some people are like, hey, if you meet with me, I'll send you $100, which can get you in trouble with the spam filters, but actually is super effective sometimes, where it's like, yeah, I'm busy. I don't really want to talk to this person, but you give me $100, like I'll talk to you for half an hour. Right. And if you're selling $100,000 product, like getting half an hour face-to-face is actually probably worth $100, even if they don't buy then. Now they put a face to the name, they know who you are. Like maybe 3 months from now, they'll be like, oh, I talked to that Anatoly guy. Like, his product was expensive, but I have this problem now. So anyway, I mean, is your offer right? Is what you're asking them to do reasonable, which is a component of the offer, right? So there are all these different things that can go wrong. And then, like, am I reaching them at the right time, right? Did I, send it? Sometimes it's good to send during business hours. Sometimes it isn't. I have a lot of success with emails that go out on weekends because the people I work with are founders. And guess what? They work on weekends and they have less meetings and other distractions. So they're more likely to respond. So you learn all that stuff, right? Obviously the things that work, quickly. A platform like Skip or a lot of email platforms will give you the intelligence to be like, oh, it looks like my subject lines aren't working. Like I'm not getting opens, but when people do open, they're clicking. So my offer is probably okay, or whatever we're telling them to click on is probably okay. But the open rate, I need better subject lines, or I need a better audience. I think the big mystery killer is the audience. People, it doesn't matter what all those other stats are. If you're emailing the wrong people or the right people at the wrong time, it's not going to work. Right. So I think if you break it into smaller components, just like you would with SEO or SEM or any other, GTM motion, right? It takes time. So you run a 3-week campaign. You're like, okay, well, the open rates weren't great on that, but the reply rates were pretty good for the handful of people that open, right? Let's fix the subject lines on the next one, right? It's why it takes, 3 months, 3 to 4 months to really feel confidently like you were or weren't successful. And I mean, the other component is cost, right? So like the intent data that gets you a better list is really expensive. So, and it takes time to put together, et cetera. So, it's easy to be like, I want to email CTOs of YC companies, right? Like you can have that campaign going, with Skip by this time tomorrow, if you call this today. I think the question is like, do you, okay, well now I know that like it really has to be fintech. They really need to have raised at least 5 million. Like they really need to be hiring this role or have hired this role within the last couple of months. Like when you layer on that additional, criteria, it gets much more expensive and time consuming to run those campaigns, but you'll get better results. So do you need to do that? Like, I don't know if I'd start there, but you need to give the whole category time to work for you.
Yeah, Alex, can you give advice for busy people, founders, someone who wanna delegate this task? Because let me share what we tried in October. We had outsourced 10 salespeople, real good people. We interviewed plus 50 people, but we decided to leave 10. And we gave them email marketing campaigns to analyze what kind of result they can bring. All of them were so convinced to us. They explained many things because salespeople know how to sell, but all of them failed. All of them, without any exception. So can you tell, for example, if someone doesn't have time to create email marketing campaign, to craft all these messages, they need just sales. So can you tell how to find the right people who you can trust or delegate this important thing?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in delegating big time. I think delegating is super important. The one thing I think as a founder you can't delegate for your first 10 to 30 customers is sales, because you need that one-on-one discussion to really understand, whether what you've built, whether you have PMF. There's so many components to it. And a friend of mine who's a well-known VC here in the Valley had a great on my podcast a year ago. He had this great way of explaining it. He's like, look, if you hire a salesperson, let's say you're a C minus salesperson and your chance of closing something is 70%, if it's closable at all, right? Like, you're not a good salesperson, but you're a 70% likelihood of close. For somebody that, should be 100%, let's say, an A+ salesperson would close every time. If you hire a salesperson to close for you because you're terrible, right? There's a 50-50 chance you also hired a shitty salesperson, right? So you take that 70% close rate, it looks pretty good compared to a 50-50 chance that you hired a total dud who's going to close nothing. And so, I mean, it was a fun mathematical way to explain it, but like, I think, by being a founder and being the one doing the actual sales, like the actual conversations, the actual demos, you learn so much from that. And even if you're a C salesperson, you're going to succeed a little bit, right? And you're going to take out this variable of like, oh, I hired a salesperson or 5 salespeople. Turns out they weren't very good. I think the other component that's important is, so I mean, there's a learning component, there's a sort of risk of hiring a salesperson, is what you delegate. So, I mean, we built Skip because no founder should be doing this cold email infrastructure, cold email, building themselves. It doesn't create any enterprise value. It is a very solved problem, right? And yeah, if you use Skip for a few months and you're like, yeah, I don't want to spend $1,000 a month anymore, I want to go, I want to build my own solution, like, fine, like, go roll out Claude Code, spend a couple months. Like, I thought this would be like something I could vibe code in a month, and we're still adding stuff, and I have a full-time Cambridge educated master's in computer science building the product with me, another exited founder who's built a bunch of companies, and like, we're constantly building stuff. Like, there's so much to build. But if you want to go, be cheap and bring it in-house later, hire a growth hacker, a growth engineer, and build your own system, like, fine. But I think early on, the things you can delegate are things like setting up the emails, right? Like, you don't need to be a founder to do that. I think we've built it so that founders can be still really hands-on, because you don't want to totally outsource it for the same reasons I talked about before. Like, you don't want to just chuck it over the fence and hope that the emails, reflect your knowledge of the product. Like, that's not good enough. But you also, you're not going to benefit by spending time doing that. So I would say, like, if you delegate to good experts or platforms like Skip with experts attached, you can probably test 2, possibly 3 channels at once, right? Like, you might test, SEM and Reddit and email, right? And maybe they're not integrated. Maybe you're testing them each separately, or SEM, LinkedIn, and email, or, SEM and just LinkedIn. I mean, any combination. There are probably other ones that are out there, but you can test that. I shouldn't forget live events. Like, live events work great, especially with email in this market, depending on your sort of purchase price point. Like this is a live event. But if you do all that stuff yourself, there's no way you can, as 1 or 2 people, successfully test 2 or 3 channels at the same time. You're going to end up with bad data, probably on all 3. You're probably going to look up 3 months later and have 3 channels that aren't working, and then what, right? Like, you'll probably cut it back to 1, and you just wasted 3 months. You learned a little bit, spread it too thin. So to me, it's like, to your question, like, I would keep the sales as like my responsibility as a founder, but I would outsource the sort of like top of funnel and mid funnel stuff so that I can figure out, I can test more things at once.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, thank you. Alex, I have a lot of questions, but I will ask only 2 questions, very important for my audience. Because we have these limitations, guys. If you want to learn more from Alex, just follow him. My main question about, I know from my personal experience, it's tough to remember everything good, valuable insights that you shared on this podcast. You shared a lot of things, but let's imagine you can do only one thing. Forget about many great. Well, I know that it's important to provide a huge list, but if you can do only one thing, what it can be?
You mean it like from a go-to-market
Email marketing.
perspective, or just like one more time?
In email marketing, anything. I mean, like, what from your perspective is the most important element in email marketing that most companies can miss?
I mean, I think that it's we call it micro campaigns, but I think it's being really thoughtful about the list and writing emails that are truly like a human would write them. I think that that's where all this that's why we started Skip. That's why a Skip works, is because if you think about email marketing the way you described it, I used Claude, I got 10,000 emails, I wrote 10,000 personalized emails, something by a list, right? Like it didn't work, right? But you and I have emailed, it worked great. You email with your friends, it works great. People still are in email. It's the impersonal mass send spam-ish emails that people don't respond to. So the more thought you put into it, the who you're reaching out to, why you're reaching out to them, right? It's going to be effective, right? The closer you get to that one-on-one email in execution, even if it isn't written one-on-one, even if it's written by AI, the higher the performance is going to be. And we see that with Skip all the time. I mean, I've had campaigns with 12 people on them and got nine responses within a week, right? And it's because I was really thoughtful about which 12 people I put on that campaign. And so, would you rather send 10,000 emails and get 0 or 9 responses, or would you rather send 12? Like, it's like it's worth putting in the work. So if I had one thing to do, it's really, it's really like run these, campaigns that approximate a human relationship as closely as possible, but do it with the efficiency of AI. And that's what we built Skip for.
Nice. And my final question about your experience. So I have students who are looking for ways how to become experts in one day, especially today when we have AI, and many companies today prefer to hire AI agents instead of students, someone who can want to start. And for many years, big companies hire interns to do just manual boring tasks. People acquired experience to become experts in one day. But today things change, and even big companies can lay off good people like Microsoft, IBM, Google. 65,000 people lost jobs in 2025. So because of AI can replace very smart people, because it's really tough to join big companies like Microsoft. You need to be intelligent, you need to be smart. So, but anyway, Alex, I want to ask you, let's imagine you started today without any experience, knowledge, skills. It's your first day in email marketing. You have a huge dream to build Skip or any other company, to become an expert in one day. So what will you do if you do everything from scratch?
It's a good question. I mean, if I was like a new person, I'd never had a job before, I'd be,
Yeah.
I mean, so two thoughts. I mean, on the layoffs, I think that just like the COVID layoffs, I think people got a little out over their skis and overhired. And so I think that some of this is probably AI, but I would not overestimate the use of AI in enterprise. I think a lot of these companies are super early on the adoption chart, and they're barely scratching the surface. And it's really just, we hired too many people, we need to let go of some, less that and the Wall Street likes that, et cetera, less that AI is really taking over jobs. I think at startups like yours and mine, AI is definitely taking jobs. Like we don't have an SEO person, we don't have an SEM person, we do that with AI. Like we obviously use AI for emails. Like there's a bunch of stuff that AI does now. We don't have an outsourced. I mean, my last company, I spent thousands of dollars on agencies to build the website and et cetera. And like now I just do it myself using Claude Code. So, right. I mean, that's clearly jobs that are not there anymore that are just going to AI credits. But I think if I were a new person, I would, so, I mean, obviously the fact that you can learn all this stuff by just talking to AI is unbelievable. But I would apply it. Like I would figure out, how do I apply this stuff, whether it's working for free, which, I'm in California, it's very hard to do, whether it's going to founders, reaching out to them on LinkedIn and saying, hey, like, I'm excited about the company you started. Can I help you out? I mean, there are a lot of people I know who got their start because even before AI, they reached out and they said, hey, I'll come build it. I'll come do the thing that you need done for free for 3 months, right, on kind of a trial basis so I can learn some stuff. And I mean, I've done this later in my career. A few years ago, I was advising startups, and I didn't know that much about crypto. Like I was, this was, this was back when Bitcoin was, at maybe 15,000. It was like the second wave or the third wave of crypto excitement. And I was like, I get it. Like I've read the white papers, I understand what's going on here, but like I want to be in a position to really actually be practically doing stuff with crypto, because like just doing whatever you do in a wallet like on the side is not the same as like being part of a company and trying to do crypto stuff. And I reached out to a friend who had a crypto company. I was like, hey, like I do this advising stuff. Do you need help with GTM? Like I'd love to just like work for you for free for a couple months and like understand what your go-to-market is, right? And I mean, he ended up paying me, but I was absolutely willing to do that for free, just because it's like, look, I don't know enough about this industry to really be able to contribute a lot of value. But the only way to learn about the industry is to be in a position to contribute value. And so, long answer to your question, but I would reach out to founders who are early stage, know some things. Like, don't reach out and be like, "Hey, can you teach me how to do coding?" But like, pay the money, right? Learn how to get value out of Cloud Code. Watch the videos that founders don't have time to watch, right? And go and say, "Hey, I think like if you built this agent, it would help your business. Can I build it for you?" Right? And then you at least have a portfolio to point to. That like I'm seeing that across the market. And again, I don't love the idea of working for free, but at the same time, like if that's what you have to do in this market, that's what you have to do. Get the experience somewhere. Whether you're building your own project or working for somebody else.
Yeah, I remember. I started something like this. So basically, I got it when I decided to open an SEO agency. I had a big struggle in the beginning to find clients, and I analyzed all my competitors, big names, big companies with recognition, reviews, brand awareness, but they usually provided 15 minutes call. That's it. So if customers are not ready to buy in 50 minutes, they just left. So what I've done without any skills experience, I shared like 2 hours 2 hours in the call to explain, to try, and accepted everything. I didn't care about the money, just $100. Wow, it's a lot of money, let's do it. Yeah, let's go ahead. So it's a good way to acquire first experience.
Well, I think what's different now, right, is that nobody knows how to build agents. I mean, I go to meetups and I talk to people, other founders, other builders, right? And like we compare notes on how we use Cloud Code, and it's like I learned stuff from them, they learned stuff from me, on all levels, right? So I think like because it's so early, there's a huge opportunity if you get in the water and like start swimming, you're going to know stuff other people don't. It isn't like SEO back when you were learning it, where like they're experts who really, it's a well-defined field. People really knew what to do. Right now, AI is so early that if you are eager and curious and learn a bunch and have, the resources to do that, like you're gonna know more than most people for a while.
Yeah, for me, it's like a problem because I like to execute more than learn. I hate learning. I mean, like, probably it's better to balance 20% of time to learn, 80% to execute. But I have like 99% of time for execution. I mean, I can open anti-gravity codex, all Claude. I play with all of them, and I even sometimes I don't know terminology or anything like that. I just do this stuff. So
right.
Yeah, Alex, it's a big pleasure to get on the show to learn from you. It's very valuable. Tell the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn at Alex Shartsis. I'm the only Alex Shartsis on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty easy to find. And then you can find me at skip.ai. You're welcome to book time with me. I'm happy to talk to anybody in the space that wants to connect. Like you said, Anatoly, I'll spend all the time and say, don't say no to that many people. Because we're early and we're learning. I mean, we do have a lot of customers, and we do know who it works best for. We'll be honest about that. But yeah, you can find me at skip.ai. You can find me on LinkedIn. Would love to hear from you.
Of course, I will try myself. I started to set up some campaigns with Lemlist and Smart Lead. I have two tools. I don't know which one is better. So I'll try Skip AI and recommend to anyone to try this tool, because you can see you can reach out to the right audience, get and save time. Especially for me, the most important element, my time, because I don't have a lot of time. I want 48 hours a day. I only have 24 for me.
Depends on how many cloud agents you're running at the same time, right?
Yeah. Okay, guys, if you wanna cooperate with Alex, just let him know that you found him on this podcast. Okay, guys, love you. See you.